Why is it that the government is not utilizing the coal to generate electricity? Is it that our coal has a lot of ash content and the carbon content is low or something?
Okay. Okay. Mitchell, that is fine. I think when you come to our issue in Nigeria, the issue in Nigeria is not because we are not having issue because of the characteristics of our coal to generate power. The coal we have in Nigeria are very, when you look at the properties that I showed you earlier on, the coal we have in Nigeria are very, very good for power generation. You know, something very good for power generation, but it's not issue of that. The issue we have here, a lot of issues are surrounding our coal. There are some issues of neglect. There are some issues of management. You know, that's why even now government is doing everything possible to make sure that coal is one of the critical, when it comes to fossil fuel, as actually stated by the Minister of Mines and Sea Development. So that every effort on board to actually bring back coal production to life. As I told you, we were producing before the advent of the Civil War in the 60s, and that declined. And following the discovering of oil also helped that. Following because most of the coal that we actually produce by NECs we actually use by the Railways Corporation. The Railways Corporation. Today, some of these locomotives are no more. So this actually contributed to neglect of coal, but it's now started picking up. So if you look at the world fired power plants, coal fire plants in the world the capacities ranges from 3,000 to almost 6,000. In Japan, in South Korea, they have about 6,000 coal fire power plants. You know, so even lignite we have do you know that Obompa alone has minimum of 10 million tons of reserve? It comes to Obashi, the lignite of that location is proven. The reserve there are actually well known because this was actually carried out by former Nigerian Geological Survey. So these actually are there. They are actually known. Even everything that shows that they can actually support, because what do we actually require? The burning capacity of the coal that is required for power generation is between something 11, even 12 to something 2021 megajoule per kilogram. What we have here is over 20. We have 20, we have 21, we have 19, we have 17, we have 18. You understand? So across it, we have good ones. Some of them, the ash content are not so high. The water content are not so. So in terms of the properties of coal we have here, there's everything proven that it can actually generate power. So we can also queue in that. But when it comes to some of the technologies that are involved, if we look at the CFB, which one of the operators in Nigeria actually wanted to get involved in, which is a secularized fluidized bed, which can actually capture, it can capture the emissions. And some of the emissions being captured can actually be converted into some of the less toxic gases. So the issue here is not the issue of properties of coal. And we have other questions coming from, okay, Hans, Tayo, can you please?
That was a very good presentation. Yes, it's a great presentation. Now, my question is this, drawing from what the last person just asked now, what exactly is the prevalence rate of coal fire? How significant is the prevalence to warrant us being worried in Nigeria? Why am I asking that? Because of the obvious, almost non-use of coal. How important or how prevalent is the occurrence of coal fire?
Okay. Now, Tayo, if if you remember when I started, coal-fire.
I can hear you.
Yeah, coal-fire. There's every tendency. You don't one is that there is every tendency for our coal to burn. You understand? Looking at what is happening all over. Looking at what is happening all over the world in terms of coal fire, there's every tendency for it to burn, which we've actually studied and looked at. Now, the coal fire is not prevalent, but now we are going into a critical moment. We are going into more of coal production. There is more emphasis now trying to revitalize our coal industry. Now, I also need to tell you what happened last week in Enugu. Do you know it will happen? Nobody knows what is happening. The fire that actually erupted during the drilling. Are you aware? Nobody knows. Do you understand? So, and most of the time, I could tell you that when I was mapping some of the big, when I was mapping in Anambra Basin, I encountered some of this fire, but nobody understands anything about it. You know, fire burning of coal is moderate nature. It's a moderate kind of burning. You understand? And it emits some of these gases and all that. In short, some of time occurs and it occurs for some weeks because of bush burning and all that. Some of the coal seam catches and nobody cares. Nobody even understands that that has some issues. So it happened. The issue you will talk about is the awareness. How is the awareness? You understand? And also, now that we are going into revitalization of some of the production of the coal in industry, you don't want us to get into some of the stages where it becomes more prevalent before we start that, because it's better to work on it early as possible.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm okay with your reply. It's a good one.
Okay, finally,
okay, we have Professor A.O. Solomon.
Okay.
If you can hear me, my name is Professor A.O. Solomon, and I want to thank the presenter. He did a very good job. I want to just quickly find out if a copy of these PowerPoint presentation can be circulated to members so that we can critically look at it again and build up from there. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Thank you, sir. We will do that immediately.
Thank you very much, sir.
In the, immediately the presentation stops, we'll circulate all the PowerPoints. Arthur, please, Esther, okay, please, can you? I'm seeing hands from. Okay, please.
Fadele is still on. Mr. Wilson.
Okay, Fadele, 15 minutes, please.
Yes, I think before we discuss on the Enugu case, because I think that one will call for a lot of brainstorming as geoscientists to understand what is really wrong on that. But however, in addition to what Mrs. Mitchell asked, that why are we not harnessing those coal we have? I haven't discovered that we have this thing in abundance and stuff like that. You know, from my own little experience from Zuma, I could understand that we have a project called CFPP, this thing, that's coal fire plant projects in Itobe and other places. But one of the major issue and challenge, because we have the coal, we have everything, has to do with unfavorable government policy and politics involved. You know, they start shifting goalposts after the signing of this Paris stuff of harnessing, you know, reducing climate change and all stuff like that. I think there are a lot of shifting of goalposts, bringing up policy that frustrates that project. And I think till date, that project has not seen the light of the day because selling and buying from them, from government, the price is unfavorable. It's killing investors. So I think governments themselves have reasons why the politics within that coal stuff is not working, because we don't have any coal, fire farm project in the country, which I believe would have solved some path of the power challenge we are having as a nation. And that is why this man have to be selling to Boa and Dangote to fire their cement. So I believe government's policies is unfavorable, the politics there, and so on. Then I also asked about those coals that were exposed, that the miners will just expose and leave. You know, sometimes this coal may cause acid mine drainage, you know, which causes heavy metals to dissolve, seep into the ground, and some run off to water and stuff like that. So that is why some of this could be exposed could result to this. But very quickly, I think from my own point of view, from that picture you display there, you know, having a coal as deep as 290 meters, you know, bringing out that kind of flame, I don't really think, because I think it will call for a lot of curiosity and studies, understanding the structural system and stratigraphic configurations of that Anambra basin. I think there could be some, you know, some pockets of micro basins or traps that could be punctured. There could be even buried pipes, gas pipes. So I think our Nigerian gas company, they could go there, visit, look at their plan. Could there be any, you know, subterranean gas pipelines traversing through that locality, that location? Maybe during the course of the drilling, they punctured that pipe. That is just my own take from that picture. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Fadele. Thank you very much. Arthur, please, who is next?
Mr. Wilfred, please.
Okay, Wilfred, please.
Thank you, Mr. Gideon, for that nice presentation. It was very, very good. Thank you. I'm going to be speaking briefly on this coal fire. In the age of formation of this coal, and you made mention of those things where you were presenting the coal ranks from lignite to bituminous to bituminous and to the other one. The younger the coal, for instance, bituminous, the more tendency it will be for the coal to combust. That will lead to coal fire. So it is from experience and from so many other things that have been researched, the younger, especially subbituminous and subbituminous or bituminous, they tend to have high volatile matter, and so they become so aggressive, and this could also lead to coal fire.
Yes.
So for some of us in the country that operate coal mines, and probably you want to prevent coal fire in your coal stockpiles, it's also important you understand that try as much as possible to minimize contamination, like cap shield in your coal stockpiles. If you have more contamination in your coal stockpile, that will also enable.
Great, that's great. Engineer Wilfred, are you there? Engineer Wilfred, thank you, Engineer Wilfred. Thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. We appreciate that. Arthur, please.
Yes, Asus.
Okay,
Asus,
hello.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Gideon. I don't know, can you hear me, please?
Asus,
can you hear me?
okay. Yes,
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm Tolofari Ifoma. My question is, in the global north now, they are leaving coal based on leaving coal, fossil fuels, because of the climate justice and Paris agreements and effects of carbon, methane, these gases, methane gases on the environment. On the environment. And in the global south, we are still talking about developing fossil fuels, maybe like as you're talking about developing coal and other not non-renewable gases. I don't know, do you think this coal is really going to see the light of, as in, with the way everybody in the global north is pushing that we should remove, okay, like in UK, they don't use coal. They have a lot of coal, but they don't use coal because of the carbon effects. I don't know, do you think we in the Global South, we are still trying to introduce that? Do you think this is really going to see the light of the day, or we should just push it off and look for other source of energy? Not source of energy, yes.
Okay, that's good. That's a great question. That actually the question everybody will be asking. If I will tell you that if you look at the records, you understand, if you look at where we are in this country, we are bleeding. You can find out that we are bleeding. When we talk we are bleeding, we are talking about survival. We are struggling to survive. The countries that have actually survived, if the nations, the big nations, you understand, have some of their power mix ranging up to 30, 40, 50 to 60% dependent on coal. Nigeria that cannot produce, we can't produce anything. What is the total production of Nigeria as of date? I don't know the exact figure as of date, but I know it is nothing to write home about. It's not up to 10,000. It will be 5,000 today. Tomorrow it will be 10,000. Tomorrow it will be 3,000. Maybe tomorrow night it will come down to 1,000. In short, some days you will not see at all, not produce anything. If do you think you need to be looking at emissions that you can control? There is emissions actually when it comes to the in terms of coal, gas, you can actually control. That's why there's an issue of carbon credits. That's when there's an issue of CFB. Some of these emissions can actually, there's a new technology we can actually bring in, you understand, in order to capture coal. We have CO, what do you call it? We have marble in this country. We have Kaku tree, limestone. Within the Anambra Basin, which is the Kogi Aziks. In the Kogi Aziks, there is limestone, there is marble, there is coal. So you can also use the marble and the Kaku tree as a reduction a resistant agent. So this thing can also be captured. The issue is that we don't even have one fire. We don't even have one. Do you understand? Now, yes, when you're talking about the environment, in the near future, we're not talking about 2 years, 3 years, coal will be phased away. We have them. Let's make use of them and survive first. If we have power, we can have technologies to bring in other ones in existence and gradually phase it out. Do you understand? We don't have power at all, and we are talking about whether they could. We have over 300 and something million tons proven reserve, and in excess of 2 billion resources. We are not doing anything with them. They are lying down there. We don't have any power. You and I understand that everything about a nation. Now, let me tell you what is critical in every technology, in every economy to develop or any industry. Today, we are buying diesel for how much? 750 naira. Even bank in Nigeria today closes by 1 p.m. because of diesel. If bank could close by 1 p.m., who are you to operate? I told you I was in bank last week. They closed by 1 p.m. I asked them what is the problem. They say they cannot work beyond 1 p.m. I say why? They say because of what? Power. So we are in a situation that if you are dying, you don't have any choice than to survive first before you talk about other things. So I think it's high time we remove some of this propaganda and all that. We don't even have one. Let's even have one that can produce 2,000 or produce 1,000 or even produce 500. The one in the lignite of Obongba and Algoashu can comfortably give you some interesting thing that even some of the Southeast which are actually they have so much production can concentrate on that. Coming from Ogun State and Lagos, they have so much production unit in that location. Energy is the problem. Energy is the problem. Do you understand? So we need to actually look into these things.
Sorry, please.
Yes?
I'm very sorry, but I don't think energy is the problem with the Global South. I think it's corruption. Because
no, we don't want to go there. No.
Let's not go there, please.
I know what you're saying. No, we don't want to go
there
into
are a lot
that
of politics.
You understand? Everybody understands that leadership has to do so much. But when it comes to what are the vehicles, we are talking about what are the vehicles for us to start. Removing corruption aside, do you understand? Which is the number one thing. We don't want to go into that, all those issues now. But the major thing for us, the vehicle want to move, we think we lack energy. Let them produce, let's use what we have for now and start up. Then you can cut. Now, UX, US is producing, we're having about 36% energy mix from coal. As of today, they have 16 to 17. Do you understand? Percent. It means that they are gradually facing out. You now check how many years it has taken US to come down from 36 to 16%. China is still on their 60, how many percent? India is still at their 70%. All these countries are selling their products to you. We are just consuming everything. We don't produce anything. It is delicate to the economy. Everything we do here is just consumption. There is no production. Yes. Let us just start producing, even if it's 100 megawatts. We can give to any of the region and say, this coal-fired power plant is producing 100. At least we know that these people producing only this can make it of it. Then we now build a controlled emission, a controlled facilities around it. Do you understand? There is a facility we wanted to bring in before, my former company, CFB. The facility has a very short, it's a zero tolerance. They can capture all the whole gases and convert them into another useful product. It's there, though it is very costly, but let's start with something. You understand? So if we say because it's an environment and all that, and we are not going anywhere. We need to start, even the gas we have, how many do we produce? We don't. So we have time, high time we start making use of what we have. Please.
Thank you so much. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Godwin. We will keep talking and keep talking. Maybe one day our government will hear us. Because no matter how we play around it, like somebody said, politics and all that, energy is what drives economy. Energy drives economy. We'll keep doing this presentation. I don't have question to ask, but just a contribution. Keep doing the presentation. We'll keep contributing from our own side also. And maybe one day we'll come to our senses and know how to start to harness our natural resources. Because we just keep making politics about them. And even when foreign investors come in, you know, the tight bottlenecks and everything, we chase them away.
Make them go.
You know, and they will leave the hook into artisanal miners who will not mess it up and cause environmental hazard. And by then, they will now start looking for how to control it and all that. So thank you so much for your presentation. I pray that more of this will also come up in the nearest future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
much.
Gideon, yeah, I think I have one more question.
Okay.
Can I speak?
Who is speaking?
Hello, this is Michael.
Michael Ameh.
Please, I should be the last.
Yes. Okay, Michael.
Sir, I'm speaking to somebody.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I said I think we should say Nigeria is blessed. Taking cold serious in this time now, because there are so many reduce whatever climatic effects the coal might have. We have the CFPP, which Zuma once propelled one time. We also have what we call the underground coal gasification project, which nobody is actually talking about. So I don't know, Mr. Gideon, some project, is it not something that one can also venture in as a way of also mitigating the environmental impacts that the climate from the climate, underground coal gasification? I don't know, sir.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You know, I brought it in one of the slides. There is coal gasification I brought in there as one of the new technology also, whereby the coal is mined in situ. It is processed in such a way. What actually happened is that the coal is set on fire through injection of steam, some water and oxygen, and the coal burns at depth. As the coal is burning at depth, what happens is that there is the gases that are actually released are actually converted. And when these gases are converted, are collected, they're actually converted into energy use. So you see, in that way, It is another way of actually, managing our environment. So these are new. The issue is that we don't really want to think and see how to come out of problems. We've not done anything. We've not looked at some of these new technologies. There are technologies in the world today that can make use of these things. You understand? So what I'm saying is we can start with, at least we can start with one. In all over the world, there are a minimum of 8,500 coal-fired power plants. And there is no single, I don't know anyone here existing. Do you understand? Let's have one before we start talking about the effects and how to. So if we actually know, because let me tell you the advantage we have. The advantage we have is that we are in a modern time that most of the facilities that we want to develop now can take care of some of these our fears. Unlike some of these fired power plants that were built in earlier on when there are no new technologies. Do you understand? So some of these new technologies can capture some of these gases. You get it? And they can also be measured. So there are so many things that could be done around it in order to minimize the effect for us to come out of this. Because if we don't have several means of generating power in the country, we are not going anywhere. We need that, we need gas, we need water, hydro, we need coal, we need solar, we need every sources of it. So what we need to do is to mix all our energy from different sources. Then we can come out of this problem. Michael, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. So I said I'm speaking from the background of someone who has been in the coal business since 2018. In total, for instance, we've done about 100,000 tons of coal supply. Last year we did, since 2018 actually, last year we did about 40,000 to Dangote Cement, and we did another 15,000 to Lafarge last year. This year, we haven't done that much yet, but in total, we've done up to like 100,000. We haven't had any experience of coal fire, you understand, all through this period that we have been in the business, right? And so I'm wondering if that is really, 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 really a huge concern for Nigerian coal. We've done in 2020, we did some kind of partnership with a mine in Owupa. You mentioned Owupa earlier. And I think that's when we did a lot of volume from there, even with the tendency for the coal from that axis to, based on the data that you shared earlier, to ignite. We never had any such incident. So my first question is, should it really, really, really be a concern, like a huge concern? Now, the second question I wanted to ask, or rather, should I say question or comment? You know, you're very right. There's not been, as of today, the Nigerian energy mix it's 0% coal. So much of the coal that is being mined in the country are going for industrial uses, right? And I don't think those industry, Dangote, for instance, I think they're just basically using it to generate heat to, you know, for their clinker and the rest of them, and Lafarge. So most of these companies, these industrial companies, are using it for heat generation, not necessarily power generation, right? So do you think that somebody spoke about you know, the global north versus the global south, right? We all understand that the global north, which is the Western country, are going down on coal. And the truth is that the technology to actually use empowering coal, comes from you know, the West. And these are the people that are putting all these regulations and all of that. And you will wonder why Nigeria has not been very successful in introducing any coal-fired power plant in the country, because they have all these blockages. You understand? For you to, for instance, to fund coal power plant, you need to source the capital from maybe outside the country or something. And once you mention coal now, they just close the door on you. You understand? Even though most of these Western countries still you know, a huge percentage of their coal, their energy mix is coming from coal. So do you think that within Nigeria, can we really develop the technology locally? For instance, I've read about modular coal-fire plant, like smaller coal plants. Do you think that may be the way forward? Do you think it's a technology that can be developed locally within the country or something? So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, Ameh, thank you. Thank you for your question. Now, your first question, somebody has actually asked it, which I've actually made some comments on that. I told you that me personally, I've witnessed coal fire in Nigeria there is no location you talk about coal in Nigeria I don't have, especially in Anambra, within I've not actually done some work on. It's not a source of concern, but it is something we should know about because it occurs in the mind sometimes, and we actually know how to fight them. And also, I made some comment that nobody knew that something that happened last week would actually come up. You understand? That is also a emission of CO2. But how do you now fight it? And how do you now go about it and all that? So there should be awareness and concern with some of this. And also, I've made mention that even when I was mapping, some of the coal seams actually continue to burn, and it draws very, very, the attention is not actually there because most people do not even know what it causes. Even the host community do not even understand some of the gases and some of the smokes that are actually coming out from the coal, actually what it causes and all that. Then when it comes to your second question in terms of developing coal the plant, I will tell you that the issue here is just about management and the leadership. Do we want to do it? I don't see something that is so difficult about it. If we want to do it, definitely we can do it. You understand? Yes, some of the foreign sponsors, are not actually interested in that. But with some new technology, some of them are interested. I've been involved in one. You understand? They are interested because the issue is that if they're the controlled pattern, if your technology shows way of controlling the emissions, you understand, definitely they're interested to get involved in short, I will tell you that some actually needed something that can even take up to, a plant that can take up to, say, about minimum of 30 years, to come in. Another issue is some of the risk some of them see in investing locations. Sometimes community issues, sometimes security issues, so many things actually fight some of these things. So it's not just because of the emissions they are actually afraid of. They are afraid of so many things, So could you imagine that there was a power that was designed to pass through the River Niger? We'll find out that the turbine, the drain, I was the one that mapped, I was involved in the group that mapped the River Niger. We did a bathymetric survey of the Niger River close to Itobe area. We'll find out that the so-called dredged banks could not even pass the kind of batch, the kind of weight, or the kind of turbine that could pass through that location. It became a very big problem. How do even the turbine come into that place? Looking at the capacity of the turbine and the weight that they actually involved. So if you want to go there, there are so many factors that we've not actually put in place to encourage investments. It's not just because of emission. You understand? So we need to start working on so many of these factors, because if you want to work here, so many things you need to produce, you need to provide virtually everything for yourself. So the environment itself, the basics for those investments are not actually in place. So I think that is one of the mitigating factors that we need to consider. For now, please, any other question, kindly send it. The best thing is let's send the question across.